You probably remember her as Marcia Brady, the all-American, picture-perfect oldest sister with a glossy hair and sunlit smile. But behind that idealized TV persona was a very different story. Today we're diving into Maureen McCormick's life, how a young actress became cultural icon, the very real struggles she faced off-screen, and the bold choices she made later that left fans speechless. This is a story about image, pressure, and the courage it takes to reclaim yourself. When Maureen was just 13, she landed a role millions would come to know and love. The Brady Bunch offered a wholesome view of family life, and Marcia quickly became the dream girl next door. For viewers, she was effortless. The perfect hair, the perfect smile, the perfect teenage storyline. But performance, especially in television, comes with an invisible cost. For a teenager suddenly thrust into the public eye, perfection can feel more like a trap than a gift. As the show's popularity grew, so did the pressure. Maureen has been open about what it felt like to be expected to be flawless, on camera and off. That pressure didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. After the Brady Bunch ended, she found herself boxed into a single public identity. Casting directors saw Marcia, not Maureen. Roles were scarce, and the contrast between the persona the world wanted and the person she actually was only intensified her isolation. That isolation led to harder chapters. In interviews and in her writing, Maureen has shared how addiction, depression, and poor choices followed her into adulthood. She joined the ranks of child stars who struggled to find footing after early fame. But there was a turning point. Instead of hiding, she chose to tell the truth. She wrote about her experiences, about the messy parts of life most viewers never saw. And then she made a choice that would shock many. Maureen decided to pose for a photo shoot that showed a very grown-up side of herself, one that stood in stark contrast to the wholesome Marcia everyone remembered. The images were bold, intimate, and deliberate. Some fans were shocked. Others called it brave. Critics had opinions, of course they did. But Maureen's intention was clear. She wanted to stop being defined by a childhood role. She wanted to reclaim her body, her narrative, and her right to be seen as a complete, complicated adult woman. This isn't just a tale about glamour or scandal. It's about agency. For decades, Maureen had been wearing a cultural mask. By publicly revealing a different side of herself through a book, through interviews, and yes, through provocative photography, she was saying, "This is my truth. I choose how to tell it." That choice challenged fans to revisit their assumptions about the people they idolize on screen. Reactions were mixed, and that mix is revealing. Some longtime fans reassessed their image of Marcia, grew to empathize with Maureen's struggles, and even admired her honesty. Others felt betrayed by the shift from wholesome to provocative. Both reactions reflect a broader cultural discomfort with change. We like our celebrities consistent because consistency feels safe. But people change, and sometimes, breaking that safety is the only way to heal. What's important to remember is that Maureen's story didn't end in tabloid headlines. It's a narrative of recovery and growth. She sought help, faced her demons, and worked to rebuild her life and relationships. The photos and confessions were not cries for attention. They were parts of a larger process of reclaiming identity. By owning her past publicly, she found a form of freedom. What can we take from Maureen McCormick's journey? First, that image and reality often diverge, especially in celebrity culture. Second, that honesty about hardship can be a powerful act of courage. And third, that reclaiming one's story is messy, brave, and deeply human. Maureen's decision to bear it all forced a national conversation about fame, privacy, and the cost of perfection, and for many, it turned a TV memory into an opportunity for empathy. What do you remember most about Marcia Brady? Did Maureen McCormick's later choices change how you see her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the people behind the headlines. Thanks for watching. Remember, the person behind the smile is usually more complicated and more courageous than the image alone can show.